Hi guys, welcome to our very first video for pre-algebra. Let me zoom this out a little bit. This is what I'd like you to do for tonight's homework. You took 4 pieces of printer paper home with you. Let me darken this up so you can see them. You're going to stagger them, and it's a little bit hard to see, but about 1 inch apart. Actually, it's about the length of my thumb for each flap. You're going to stagger those 1 inch apart, and then you're going to fold it back onto itself so that we're able to create a common flip book. And I know you've done this before in elementary school, but notice that as you fold it, you've got lots of different tabs here now to flip it. And then if you can, take scissors, a stapler, staple across the top. Excuse me. If you don't have a stapler, just use a paper clip to hold it together for now. And when you get into class tomorrow, we can staple that. So if you need to pause the video to get that accomplished, you can. And then we're going to fill in these tabs so that we're all ready to roll tomorrow. So this very first tab, this is just going to kind of be our cover sheet, and we'll write some stuff on it. So go down to this first tab. We're going to write in distributive property. The next tab is going to read algebraic expressions. The next one is going to be solving equations with tiles. So we're going to use some algebra tiles to model. The next one, solving equations with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The next one is called two-step equations. And lucky me, we've got a few extra spots than I thought. The next one is we're going to learn how to put a sequence of numbers into an equation, how to write an equation that will model the pattern, so sequences and equations. And the final one is solving formulas. Okay, so that's kind of the overview. Now what I'd like you to do is we're going to go ahead and write the definition and take notes for the distributive property so that in class tomorrow we won't have to spend any time learning the idea. We can jump right into our work in class. So if you turn the first flap up, so now you're going to have where we wrote distributive property in this. Some of my students in the past have liked to kind of put a bubble around this so that it looks nice and cutesy, so that when they flip it up it doesn't get disturbed there. I'm going to switch pens because mine's looking awfully messy. So distributive property. This is basically what the distributive property says. We're going to write it out in technical words first, and then we'll get easier. A times the quantity of B plus C. And when I say the word quantity, whenever you hear the word quantity, it's meaning that there's a bunch of stuff that's put in parentheses. So A times the quantity of B plus C, that's how we read that. So when you read it in class, please don't say A parentheses B plus C parentheses. Okay, to sound like mature math students, we say A times the quantity of B plus C. Now, just as a review, we don't have to write the multiplication symbol there, and when there is no symbol, it means times. Okay, the distributive property looks like this. Basically, we need to multiply A times all of this stuff. So think about your mom comes home from the store with product A, so Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, and she's going to distribute them to each of the 2 kids in the family. Now we all know that if a mom doesn't distribute fairly, there's problems, there's trouble in the house, and people say, that's not fair. So in order to be fair, we want to be equal. We want to be treated equally. So if the mom passes the same product out to both kids, the family's in harmony, what's that going to look like? A got passed out to B, so A times B plus A times C. So notice that child B has a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, child C has a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Life is good, everything's fair and balanced. Okay, that is basically the distributive property. Now you guys know that I like you to tie in the, words to what it means. And if you think over here, what does it mean to distribute? In English class, if you were to use distribute in a sentence, distribute, you could say, this weekend I'm going to distribute food out at the food pantry. So distribute means to pass out, to give away, or to equally disperse. So if you can remember distribute in terms of maybe passing something out or distributing new school clothes. And then if you look at our picture, I often model that passing out, that distributing, with parentheses. Now the good thing with these videos is you can pause them, you can rewind them at any time if you need practice. It works out really well. Okay, so a real easy example that you'll see in the book is 2 times the quantity of 4 plus 5. Before we even start this, let's do this in our head. Order of operations says we do parentheses first, so 4 plus 5 is 9, times 2 is 18. So let's keep in mind that this should equal 18. And now let's do our passing out, or our distributive property. So if you, this is saying 2 times everything in here has to be multiplied by 2. So 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5. Now let's do a little arithmetic. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 2 times 5 is 10. Do you see that they both equal 18? So that's essentially what the distributive property looks like. Now many kids will say, but why would we do that? Can't we just use order of operations? Yes, you can. And that's probably the most efficient way. But when we see that is in algebra problems like this. So let's do a couple. 2 times the quantity of x plus 3. Well, here comes algebra with the letters. But this is saying 2 needs to be distributed equally to x and to 3. Okay, so go ahead and fill in what you think that would be. And we will check that tomorrow. I'd like you to try this one. 3 times the quantity of a plus 5. Go ahead and distribute that. And I guess to give you a little hint, I'll do this one up here just to check. You should have gotten 2x plus 2 times 3, which is 6. And that's your final answer. Now kids will ask me, Miss Shea, how come you can't add those together and get 8x? Well, notice that this 6 does not have a variable x with it, so these are considered unlike terms. We can't add them. Okay, so try this one, and then I'm going to throw a wrench at you, see if you can pick up this one, and even harder, see if you can do this one. Okay, so there's 3 problems that we're going to check first thing tomorrow, making sure that you've got your foldable ready and you've worked through these problems. We'll see you in class tomorrow.